Okay, so hello everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to have Dr. Erez Nossek joining us. Dr. Nossek is part of the neurosurgery department at NYU Langone here in New York City. Dr. Nossek is originally from Israel, and he completed his medical school and neurosurgery residency in Israel before coming to the US, where he completed a fellowship in open cerebrovascular neurosurgery and endovascular neurosurgery, a combined training at North Shore University Hospital. And at that time, he trained, the main reason for him coming was to train with Dr. Avi Seton in interventional neuroradiology. And he met Dr. David Langer at that time. And because of that, there was a beautiful friendship that got created at the moment, and that translated into great mentorship and mentee relationship between David and Erez. When I met Erez, he was doing his fellowship at North Shore at the time. I was starting to work at Lenox Hill Hospital, and from the get-go, I saw that Erez had a real passion for taking great care of patients. He definitely exhibited the clinical skills and acumen that was surpassing his level of training at the time. From that moment on, he and I became excellent friends as well. Then he went to NYU, where he completed another second fellowship in interventional neuroradiology under the tutelage of Peter Kim Nelson, where he also established great relationships with people. And actually, some of his best friends in his life come from those years where he was at NYU before going out in the world and start working as a dual trained cerebrovascular neurosurgeon and interventional neuroradiologist. He spent some time in Brooklyn in Maimonides Hospital. And after that, I was fortunate to be able to work with him for a year at Lenox Hill Hospital. He was doing some work here in which he was bringing some cases, collaborating with us, taking call in our call schedule for endovascular stroke. And definitely was a beautiful time for me specifically to get to know Erez better, to get to know him in every facet as a great surgeon, as someone that is very passionate to do the right thing for the patients, very passionate in both open cerebrovascular and neurointervention. It's very rare that we find someone that can do both well. And for people that have been watching these webinars over the past few weeks, you have seen that usually people are more attracted to either open cerebrovascular or to endovascular, but Erez is really excellent at both, and I think he's very passionate about both equally. So I would like to say hello to Erez. And something that we have to mention. A lot of people that watched this started engaging with us because of the Netflix show, and because they did watch what happened with the Lenox Hill show. Dr. Nossek is the person who's responsible for making this a reality, in the sense that he was the one that introduced the directors and producers of the show to Dr. Langer. And that was the beginning of the conversations towards making this a reality. And as I understand, it's because Erez was the star of the show when they did it in Israel. Am I right with that?
One of five actually.
One of five, okay.
They followed 5 residents, and I was one of them.
So after that introduction, I would like to hear from your side, Erez, what has been your pathway? Obviously, it's been many years of studying, many years of working hard to get to where you are today, and to move from Israel to New York City, and to start with your family from zero here again, and now gets to be a very successful neurosurgeon. Please tell me and tell us and the audience how did this happen? Where did you start? Why are you where you are today?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for having me in this amazing, I don't know how to call it. I don't want to call it a webinar, okay? We'll call it a webinar so it sounds professional. In this kind of meeting, I'm so happy to see all of you again together since that time that we worked together. And it was an amazing time. I'm happy to see all these faces again combined on the same screen. Unfortunately, not together, really sitting next to one each other, but still, it's the, you know, I feel that I'm with you now. So first of all, thank you for this introduction. Suddenly it becomes so long. It slowly becomes so long. It was such a long introduction, and actually, it's only me. You know, it's only Erez from Tel Aviv, and it's the same. Actually for the audience, it's the same guy that grew up in Tel Aviv. It's still me. Yes, I learned a lot and I invested a lot, but it's very weird to look at all this stuff as a long journey. I don't know. It was yesterday and suddenly I'm here. That's really my gut feeling. And I think mainly it's because I enjoy it. I really enjoy what I'm doing every day. I come and I'm curious, and I really want to see what will happen this day. Now show me what you got to show me. I really am very curious to see what will happen with my day at work. And obviously I have also an amazing and supportive family that also assist with that. But yeah, I'm very curious. I love my profession, and I think this is the main thing. If you love what you do, then you'll be successful. If you are not so sure, well, maybe I should do that, maybe not, getting up saying, oh my God, another day, it won't work. It just won't work. You need to find a different something to do with your life. In respect to my life, how did I arrive here? I think it's a combination. It's a combination of, first, I really worked hard. First, I loved it. Then I really worked hard, trying to learn a lot, as much as I could, trying to get every detail that I see in each and every day, and really paying attention to details. I think that this profession, both neurosurgery and interventional, are really in the small, tiny details. You need to know every millimeter where you go and where you navigate, and it's in both professions. It's larger on the screen in the angio suite, but it's really the same under the microscope or under the exoscope. If I don't want David Langer to be upset, it's really on the millimeter. And if you pay attention to details, then it will be those millimeters that you need for the safety and for the success of the case in the OR or in the angio suite. So the combination is hardworking, is being curious, and second, you have to be lucky, like extremely lucky. I really mean it. The fact that I met with such, first of all, mentors, and then friends and colleagues, is paramount. It's the most important thing, I think. That's the combination. Without this combination, you won't be successful. Now, what do I have to say about it? How can I assist you with getting that? I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. You just need to be kind of lucky, and you need to be yourself, and you need to be honest, and then maybe you'll be very lucky and meet such mentors and colleagues as I met that really supports me. And through all these years, and it's been many years already. I started actually my training in neurosurgery in 2006. And it's been 14 years with lots of people that are my mentors that taught me everything that I know. Yes, I learned. Yes, they showed me what to learn, but they taught me. what I have to do in order to succeed. In all aspects, not only in the OR and in the angiocyte, also how to talk, also how to teach, everything. And I'm really, until this day, many times when I hear these voices of Rafa or the voice of David Langer behind my head in the angiocyte or in the OR, I really text them back immediately after. Remember that I did it because you told me to do it. And it really comes from there. It comes from them, from all these guys. I have multiple discussions with my mentors almost every day about cases and about life also, because the friendship it's fun and it's part of my life. Yeah.
When you mentioned Tel Aviv, I know that other than being a doctor, you also had a different pathway as well.
Yeah.
And what else did you do before going to university, before medical school, and before doing neurosurgery?
Yeah, so in Israel, there's a mandatory time to spend in the army of Israel. Every, I can call it kid. Every kid that becomes an 18-year-old has to serve the army, the Israeli army, for 3 years. If you're a boy, if you're a girl, it's for 2 years. And then that's everyone is doing that. That's mandatory. But I tried to go to flight school, and if you go to flight school, you need to, if you manage to finish and become a pilot, you need to stay for additional 4 more years. So I spent 7 years as a fighter pilot. I flew the F-16, then I flew another, so I flew F-16 during my mandatory time there. And then on reserve, you have to continue and fly. Every week you need to go and do between 1 to 3 sorties a week. So I continued to do that until I was about 40 years old for additional about 10 more years on F-15. And then once I decided I want to move here, and I did it parallel to medical school and parallel to my training, neurosurgical training, then I decided to, I actually felt that doing these 2 professions, neurosurgery and being a pilot, would be too much in respect to mainly the safety of the patients and my safety. And, you know, each one of these professions really need 100% of you. And then I felt that I need to decide which way I go. And I really understood that I would like to stay as a physician and to be a better neurosurgeon. And I realized that in the States, since the experience is enormous and the volume of cases is huge, they're doing great medicine and amazing neurosurgery in Israel in all aspects of neurosurgery. But I think the volume here and the experience here is a little bit better. And then I decided to move on with into a fellowship. And then that's when I stopped flying, actually.
Do you think that your experience as a pilot has helped you in being a better doctor and a better surgeon?
You know what?
I'm asking because obviously it's unusual that we meet a neurosurgeon that was a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
It is not every day that you may see that. So I want to know if your experiences in dealing with challenging times, in mentorship, leadership, obviously you had to pay a lot of attention to detail, not to crash that plane. So did that affect you in any way to become a better doctor?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, my feeling is that, yes, there are lots of similarities between them, but I think that most of the time it's not being a pilot, it's the culture that the Israeli Air Force taught me, and that's part of me already. You know, I'm a pilot, but it's more than being a pilot. It's something in the culture, And when I'm saying a culture, it's not only, you know, being calm in a very risky situation or taking a decision within seconds that you need to do it in neurosurgery, in interventional. You need to take, sometimes you need to take a decision in seconds. And yes, I think that I got it from there, but more than that, in respect to what I started saying about the culture, and the culture in the Israeli Air Force, which helped me a lot in what I do today, is briefing and debriefing every single step of my profession in neurosurgery. You cannot go into a flight without briefing perfectly what you're going to do, what are you going to do, how are you going to bail out from situations. And then once you land, immediately you have to debrief yourself of what were your mistakes and how are you going to make it better. And I think that's what I took from being a pilot into neurosurgery. I always, even if I'm not doing it as professional as they are doing in the Israeli Air Force, even if I'm doing it only for myself in my mind or on a note, before and after, I think it made me, I became a better neurosurgeon because of that.
Great.
I really believe in that. Maybe it's my, I don't know, it's my religion. It became my religion, you know, and I really believe in that. But I think it happens, and I really do it every case, every single case.
Great.
Doesn't matter if it's a diagnostic angiogram or a, I don't know, whatever.
And we want I want to pause to encourage the people to send questions through the chat option, or whether it's on Instagram or through Zoom. And you know Jason, and I don't know if you knew Yafell Serulle. He's joined us last year,
yeah, I know. I actually know Yafell from my buddies here at NYU, which very sad that he landed in Lenox instead of landing in NYU.
Yeah, Erez, it's funny. I've heard so much about you throughout the years, you know, because I'm good friends, obviously, with the guys at NYU. I mean, I'm very close to Eitan and Max and so on. So it's funny. And then I heard, of course, you were here right before I joined. So it's funny how throughout the years I keep on hearing your name and keep on hearing all these stories about you.
Same here.
We actually haven't had the chance to actually meet in person. So great to meet you at least through this virtual, you know, webinar. Yeah. But hopefully when the times change, we can all get together. I think it's overdue, in fact.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. I also heard Yafell, and suddenly Yafell is in Lenox. Yeah.
So I know David is having issues with his microphone, but it's very, very low.
How about now?
It's better.
How about now?
That's even better.
I don't know where the damn mic is, but I have to get really close to my computer, unfortunately. It makes me look like some sort of Bill Gates looking over Steve Jobs or something like this. No, I mean, I think that Erez is a unique guy. You know, I knew that when I met him, and regret when I see him sitting there with an NYU jacket. It makes me pissed off. But you know, he's in a great place, and I'm not pissed off at him. I'm upset that he's not sitting on the other side of this, and I regret him not being with us, because he's the kind of guy that our department needs, and he's the representative of the right kind of person in medicine, just the way he behaves. So, you remember, it's, you know, there are talented people, and there are smart people, there are ethical people, there are hardworking people, and then there are, you know, people who have all those things and have the ethic and the drive, and it's rare to have everything. He definitely does. So, but you know, I think alternatively, I know I celebrate his accomplishments, and I'm excited. You know, he almost ended up going back home, and luckily he's staying here. It wasn't great for us that he's staying here, but it's great for New York City and great for him. And you know, friendly competition is a good thing, and having him across the town is really wonderful. And you know, in the end, I think another thing I was hoping you could talk a little bit about is you know, your experience as like how you decided to go into medicine, why I know you originally you were planning on going back to Israel, and so what kept you here? What was it about New York? I know I'm sort of front loading because I know some of the answers to these questions. I remember our audience, we have a full Instagram audience, and we have obviously our Zoom, but most of the people, we have a fair amount of foreign students, and there's a number of them are paying attention because of the desire to come to the U.S. And now that you're here and you've seen what's happened in the United States these last, not only these last 4 years, but now with COVID and with, the changes that are happening even in Israel now too, for that matter, I'm sure your worldview is very different now than it was when you came here. I also was hoping you might be able to comment on your opinion, what's happening in Israel politically and how that's affecting you positively and negatively, and where you see your children growing up. So that's a lot all at once, but I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. It's some difficult questions. I'll start with, I came here actually with 3 kids. They were 6 years old, twins, boys, 6 years old, and a daughter, she was 3 weeks old. My wife just gave birth, and we moved here. And during the first 2 years of my fellowship, so as I said before, I had great relationship with my mentors, and all of them asked me, would you like to stay? Would you like to stay? And I never said yes. By the way, it was a mistake never to say yes. Always say yes, always. And they said, why? You have such an opportunity, and if you'll stay here, it will be great, and this and that. And I told them, listen, more than my friends, more than my family, more than everything, I really want my kids to grow up in Israel as Israelis. And this was all these years what I answered. And my kids were already 2 years in the educational system of New York. And suddenly these kids are coming back home, and they are amazing. And they learn so much, and they are curious. And the system allows them to really become such a wide personality in the age of 8, which was amazing for me. And they enjoyed it so much. Then also my wife and me became in love with the city. And to understand that, it's difficult. How do you become in love with the woman or with the man? Or how do you become in love? Why do you? I can't answer. You have to come here and see, and then you'll get in love as well. But I really think that the major change in why did I accept staying here? Obviously, I wanted already by that time, but why did I accept that? It's because I saw what's happening with my kids and how they are becoming better and better personalities-wise. The friendship that they develop with the kids, and the parents of the kids that were such an amazing people. I don't know if it's the States or it's New York or it's something specific to our surrounding, but something became more quiet in my deep feeling that I want my kids to grow up in Israel. That allowed me to relax with that feeling and understand that, okay, let's see what can happen to me here in respect to my profession. And then once you allow it to happen, it's just suddenly, wow, it was so good to stay here. Because of lots of things. First of all, we love this city. It's really amazing, and we love the diversity, and we love the fact that it's everyone, and my accent doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because everyone has an accent except for maybe Jason and David in New York City. And I suddenly, yes, I still feel a stranger, but they hug the stranger here. And that's so good, such an amazing feeling, that the fact that they are welcoming everyone, wherever you come from. I think that's extremely unique to New York, but I never lived in a different place than New York. So I don't know, maybe again, I'm lucky that I fell into New York City. I think the opportunities are in the States are so wide, and the options are incredible. And again, if you're a hardworking person, if you have it's enough to have a normal personality. I think that this combination, and then being a little bit lucky with whom do you meet, I think that gave the this, you know, opportunity to stay here and to be happy with staying here. What are the my thinking about Israel? I think that still Israel is an amazing place to live. I think it's completely different. Yes, it's a Western place, but it's a completely different way to live. It's a completely different culture, I can say, in medicine. But medicine is the same. You treat patients. By the way, another interesting story. I also had an issue with whom do I treat. I also said, I want to treat Israelis. I want to treat Israelis because I feel that I can connect to them better and I can talk to them better. And I think that I'll be a better physician if I treat Israelis. Years, like 4, 5 years. And I think after 6 years, suddenly I feel that I completely, and this is also being in the States, maybe being in New York City, suddenly I feel connected to each and every patient I treat, and it doesn't matter which and where he came from. It really doesn't matter. I can really feel it. And this is another level, I think, of something that happened to me during this time. Maybe it really made me a better physician, the fact that I connect with all these patients. And I just got a text from a friend of mine that just now arrived to Houston, Texas. He's an amazing guy. He's super smart. He's really amazing. He's doing a fellowship in functional neurosurgery in Houston, Texas. And he wrote to me, you know what? I remember like 6 years ago, you wrote to me, it's very difficult for me to get connected to these patients, and it's very weird. I said, don't worry, you will get over it once you stay. because it's true. I said that, but I don't know, the time or something happens. Suddenly, I think that I'm more open-minded to all this, you know, happening about, you know, the world. It made me a different person, I'm sure.
What like David said earlier, what made you go into medicine?
I actually don't know what made me, but I'll tell you another story about that. So I was in the Scouts. In Israel, everyone goes to the Scouts, everyone. And so all my group from the Scouts, when we were 17 years old, we wrote on a note, what each and every one of us, what does he think will happen with him within 10 years? And we discussed to meet after 10 years and open these notes. And we met when we were 27, and I opened my note and I was shocked. I wrote there that I'm going to be a physician, and I didn't remember that I wanted to be a physician. I never remember that I was in the Air Force, you know, a pilot, and it was shocking. But that's the story about why I wanted to be. I don't know why, but I wanted. I remember that my mother, she used to be a nurse in her military experience, and I really loved all the needles, and I always invented that I have something is wrong with my knee, and I really liked bandages and stuff like that. But I'm not saying that this will make anyone a physician. It's just an attraction to weird stuff.
Someone on Instagram is asking, is there a hint where you knew that you were going to be a neurosurgeon? How did you know?
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's a great question. It's weird, but the truth is that when I was in medical school, in Israel, medical school is 6 years. When I was in my 5th year, I met a guy who was a chief resident in neurosurgery, and he was the most charismatic guy I ever saw. And I really connected to him, He was extremely impressive guy. He still is, by the way, and I'm great friend with him. His name is Dr. Benifla. He works in Haifa in Israel. And he showed me the profession, actually. And by his charisma and by him showing me this stuff, obviously then I love the technology, and I love the fact that it's an immediate answer. Did you succeed or did you fail by the end of the procedure? Which is, I think, maybe one of the, I don't think there are lots of professions in medicine like that, you know, the patient is awake after the surgery. Did you succeed or did you fail, right? There's not a lot of that. Then, how did I decide about vascular neurosurgery? I met another guy. No, just, I don't know.
So it's interesting you mentioned about being successful, knowing when the patient wakes up and you know how that you fix the patient, you fix the problem.
Yeah.
Today, we did a challenging case in the angio suite. Yafell and I were working together in this woman that had a previous hemorrhage from a micro AVM that has end passage supply from an MCA branch. Distal to that branch, you have normal brain parenchyma opacifying. So it was not safe to embolize transarterially. So we decided I don't have those images. I don't have the images. And we decided to go transvenous to attempt to embolize. However, there was a severe stenosis on the venous side, and we could not get the microcatheter to a safe position for us to embolize. And we tried multiple access catheters, intermediate catheters, microcatheters, micro wires, different tips, you know how it is. And then there was a moment we had to say, okay, it's better to stop. It's better to stop than to cause a problem. And yes, we did not fix the AVM. However, she's doing great. She's normal. And that was critical in everything we do in neurointervention, in vascular neurosurgery. There's a moment, number one, which patient should be treated. Like our partner, Mitch Levine says, a surgeon kills a patient before washing his hands. Who should be treated? And number two, even when you're committed to a treatment, when to stop, because you don't want to stop too late. What's your, you do both open and endovascular neurosurgery. What's your point of view of this philosophy and knowing who to take to the angio suite, who to take to the OR, when to stop in the angio suite, even though you had said that you were going to the angio suite, when to stop in the OR, even though you were committed to do an open approach procedure? Yeah.
First of all, I want to say something about when you were saying we tried this, we tried that, we tried this, we tried another way, and we were laughing, both of us. But to the audience that is not there yet, I want to say we were laughing, but deep in our both hearts, we were crying. It's difficult. It's very difficult. It's not funny. It's funny because we laugh because we understand the feeling of standing there and this frustrating, you know, situation of hours that you can spend in order to try. But yeah, definitely. This is one of the most important parts of being a physician, but more than that, being in the angio suite, working in the angio suite and in the OR, when to stop. That's so difficult. And I want to say that in the beginning, when you are younger, I think you're very disappointed about if you stopped. But when you become at the level of Dr. Ortiz, it's huge. It's tons of respect because after so many years, like you have in the angio suite, I'm sure that you've seen even more difficult cases that you tried more, and to back off, it's amazing. It's a huge honor for you to decide to take these decisions. And I think, in short, I would say that in order to stop, you need Yafell, or you need another guy that you're sure is going to help you rather than, compete, or rather than, makes you more anxious. I think that your wingman is extremely important when you want to decide about backing off. And if you develop such a relationship with your wingman, I think you'll manage to back off in the correct time.
Yeah.
It's not a profession for a single guy. I don't think so. And I see it now with my partners here. They save me and I save them, because I don't know why, because you're less attached to the patient. You're less attached to the case. You're not pushing by yourself the wire you view, you look. I think it's the same, by the way, in the OR, in difficult, very complex AVMs, aneurysms. I'm talking about that because, I don't know, because this is my profession, and this is how I used to, whenever there was a bypass, I used to come and help David. And I learned from that a lot, that another guy in these complex cases will help you not only in how to do something or give you a hand, but take the decision to, okay, that's enough. So that's my view about,
Yafell, how do you feel after that case?
Well, my back hurts. That's one thing. Other than that, yeah, no, I mean, look, it's we had a great plan going in. That it's funny because we had perfected the plan. I had sent you already what we thought we had discussed was going to be the perfect thing that we thought based on the anatomy that we were, aware of in this patient. But, and we prepared very well, I think, for the case. But even so, it's just what it is. We couldn't get to the point that we thought it was very safe to inject the embolic material. And I think it wasn't an easy decision. We could have continued, I guess, at the expense of probably hurting the patient. And that's always, the balance that is very hard. And I think definitely going back to what Erez is saying, being alone in the angio suite in these cases could be very dangerous, because you lose sight of what you're trying to do, and you're just, you become, just trying to get what you want at the expense sometimes of causing a great deal of danger in the patient. So I think this is when doing these cases as a team together with good friends, good partners, it makes a very dramatic difference in the patient's life, which is, the only reason we're here in the end, saving patients. So yeah, definitely, a very good reflection, to think of.
And now the patient is gonna follow up with Jason and David for resection of this AVM. Any plans for that, Jason?
Well, I've always said that the strength of our program is that we're so collaborative, and that, any cerebrovascular patient that comes here isn't just coming to one person. It's getting the minds and the hearts of all of us. We're always thinking about that patient, always thinking about different ways to do something and get the job done. So, I was there watching you guys in the angio suite. I was rooting for you guys, but, unfortunately it didn't pan out, but we have alternative solutions, so we'll explore those. So, Erez, I always thought that being dual trained, being a guy who does the endovascular work as well as the microsurgical work, I always thought that was difficult, really not from the technical standpoint, but from the decision making, because you can be a loner. You can be a cerebrovascular loner when you do both. I only do microsurgical work, so I can't be a loner. You know, I depend on my endovascular partners to always discuss. But I agree. I think that you know, when you go solo on these cases, it's set up for disaster.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can be a loner, but first of all, it's boring for me, and second, I think it's if you're a loner, you're doing it for yourself. If you're in a team, then you're doing it for the patient. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Generally saying, very general, you know. But that's what I feel.
After having this conversation, it feels so good. Are you gonna take off your jacket and put on the Lenox Hill one?
They're in the office next to you. No one took them off yet.
You mentioned obviously your love for Israel as your country. What language do you speak at home?
Say again?
What language do you guys speak at home with your wife and kids?
Hebrew.
You do.
Hebrew.
So your kids speak Hebrew at home?
They speak both, actually. It really depends. If they want to fight, it's in English.
Okay. So, but if you want to correct them,
yeah,
it's in Hebrew.
You know what? When I was here in the beginning of the first few years, we always answered in English to them because we said we want them to learn English. We want them to learn English. Now we answer in Hebrew because we wanted to keep the Hebrew. So it's like we probably messed completely with the kids.
So and you were saying that at the beginning you wanted to go back. Why was that into you? Why was that so much presence in your inner self that you were decided to go back to Israel? Why?
I'll tell you why. I didn't know the answer for a few years. I just know it like recently. I think I felt that I had a great childhood, and I did have a great childhood, and I wanted them to have my childhood.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, now I understand that I can't give them my childhood. I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I see that they have an amazing childhood here in New York. So what do I want from them, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the change. I always thought they'll have my childhood. They'll have a similar childhood. So first of all, they won't have mine. And second, they won't have a similar childhood. It's a different world today. I don't want to tell you when was I a child. I just look like younger. I'm not that young. I'm not that young.
Where do you see yourself going back to Israel at some point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To work or to retire?
No question.
To work or to retire?
I don't know. That's a question to my wife.
We'll have her here next week.
You know what? It's a difficult question. Someone once told me there are two ways to be an immigrant here. Either you are completely done with that and no issues, or you're one of these guys that always have in his mind, well, should I go back? Should I not go? Should I, you know? So I think I'm the second guy, the guy that always asks himself, should I go back or not? And I think it's, now I realize that it will probably be with me as long as I'm here. I'll always ask myself the question, when should I go back? Should I go back, or when should I go back? Or, so it really depends. And I envy these guys, the other style of guys that manage to say, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm good. I'm here. I'm an immigrant. I'm here, but I'm completely here. And that's it. It's I don't know.
On a sad note, how did you feel yesterday when we saw the explosion that happened in your neighbor country?
Horrible.
In Lebanon.
Horrible.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
The first thing that went to my mind, it was I wish my government will offer help, and I was so happy to see that they offered that to kind of enemy. Now, and I'm saying that even though I was in the Air Force and I was a fighter pilot and everything, it sounds to me so ridiculous to say, well, this is an enemy. But there are people there dying. And I was so happy and so proud that Israel immediately after that happened, offered to do everything to help, including bringing patients, including going there. They have one of the best units to assist in such a disaster around the world, and they do it all over the world. And I really wish that they would offer this help, and they did it. And then I was very proud, and I was obviously very sad for Lebanon. But it's a great question. I think that most of the Israelis do feel terrible with that and do want to help these guys, these people. It's a lot.
You on top of taking care of patients, you're also involved in some development of devices for interventional neuroradiology. Do you need to have a different hats and think in different ways when you're coming up with ideas and trying to develop a new idea for a new device?
Yeah, I think it's part of being a physician that deals with vascular today, especially neurovascular, because after all, it's the beginning of this profession, especially in the angio suite. It's kind of the beginning. How many years do we have? Like 20, 25? It's nothing. And I think the fact that the physicians are being so involved in creating their devices, it's beautiful. I love it. And I wish I could do more, but it's lots of work. It's lots of thinking. It's not like, like an after school. It's tons of time, and people from this profession did create amazing stuff, and we are here because of them, because of the combination, obviously. But this physician that said, no, this is not good enough, let's try something else. And I love it. I actually I love the fact that we managed to bring more and more great ideas to this field. Yeah, and one of the companies is an Israeli company, and I helped them during the last 6 years. Extremely smart guys with great ideas, and I help them. I'm not the founder or something like that, but I do help them. Yeah.
For the people listening today, we have many students from different parts of the country. If someone is in a similar situation as you, someone from Israel that might be listening right now, and they're in high school, what's your advice to them to be able to, if they're interested in maybe medicine, maybe neurosurgery, maybe neuroendovascular surgery, maybe open cerebrovascular neurosurgery, what's your advice to them?
Well, it's difficult to say how to do it, but I think what's important is, first of all, to understand what makes you happy. What are you interested in? It's very difficult. And I think the best way to do it is like what they do here in their sub-Is and in their rotations as students, to come and take a look. And only after you know that this is what you want to do, because it's tons of investment of time and energy and everything. Only once you decide that you really want to do it, only then you should proceed and go forward. Not by just like by, I got the feeling that I want to be in Lenox part 2.
Yeah.
You really want to be interested in doing this stuff. And doing this stuff is standing in the OR, standing in the angio suite, see how the physician talks to the family, see how the physician explains to the patient, and understand whether you want to have such a life.
Yeah, when I see people that are looking for some mentors or some tutors or someone to follow, and they have a question about medicine, you hear these days that a lot of people in different parts of the world might be jaded with medicine and might make some comments that are negative or derogatory about the medical field. The truth of that is that in general, those people chose the profession for the wrong reasons. When you find physicians that are either not good at what they do, or that are not happy with the physician's profession, usually it's because they chose it for the wrong reason, whether it was looking for money, or they were looking for some authority, or they were looking for something superficial.
Some ego stuff, yeah.
Something superficial, but at the end of the day, when you do this for the right reasons, which means to help someone in need, to save a life, to improve the quality of living of someone, to improve the chances of a family living together for a longer period of time. When you do it for those reasons, then it's definitely a very rewarding profession. 100% convinced. Absolutely. In whatever field in medicine you choose. And I think that's very important for the audience and the younger audience listening, so that when they go to spend some time in a rotation or visiting or an institution or in their medical school, that they look for those mentors that they, like you said before, you were attracted to this guy because of his personality, and that took you into neurosurgery. And we are like that. We all see someone that then becomes our mentor is because we chose that mentor.
Absolutely.
The mentor doesn't choose you. You choose that mentor. So look for exemplary people to follow. Guys, we have 7 minutes to go. Do we have any questions on the Instagram feed, David?
Somebody was asking about Chiari malformations, but that's the answer is you can do decompressive surgery, and the outcomes are excellent if you choose your patients correctly. And yes, we do them here. I don't think Erez is doing a ton of Chiaris, but we do them, and that's you can always reach out for that. I just wanted to, with the few little time I have left, usually I talk all the time, and like Nick Hopkins says, you're with 2 ears and one mouth. It's nice to listen sometimes. But I have very interesting reaction to what I'm watching. The word pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, I think, pride, because it can look as a negative, but seeing the 5 of you with Flora up there, and then the group we've assembled, hearing you talk about collaboration, and having been in environments where that didn't exist until we came here at all, to an extraordinary degree, the lack of that in our business is actually more common than not. And I think that is the essence of what success is. It's surrounding yourself with great people and then just letting it happen. And I think, Erez slipped through our fingers, and yet he's in a great place. In fact, we tried to recruit the guys from NYU before he came here, and we got pretty far along. I think they were just afraid to take the risk of going to Lenox Hill, But in the end, Erez is in a great place. We have a great group, and it's all good. But I just want to tell 2 stories about Erez. I went to Israel with Erez to do a couple bypasses before. He was still relatively young, and you could see the way that people reacted to him. The other residents, his old former chairman, he was having all these meetings. I was sitting there, like, picking my nose, and he was running off to this guy and that guy. I have a meeting with this guy, and I was just sitting around like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. And you saw how the impact that he had in the environment where he trained, which said a lot about him, how badly they wanted to come home. And that's, I think we got to know each other even better from those trips. And he ran a meeting 2 years ago that was just tremendous. And went to Masada and we were on the Dead Sea, and seeing, Israel up close was really a tremendous experience. One of our trips, we were in the lounge of one of these airport lounges while we were waiting for our flight. And, you know, there's a fair amount of Israeli patients that look for help because there are certain things that there aren't a lot of. Israel's a country of 6 million people. And there are certain medical problems, the uncommon ones that they often will travel for. And there's a specific Rabbi Fuhrer, who basically is the genius. He's like a doctor. He knows everything, the guy. And I'd heard of him and I've talked to him. And Erez and I knew that because we were working together, then we should try to meet this guy because he was involved in one of the bypass patients that we had gone over and done. We didn't meet him yet. So we're saying, you know, it would be great to meet Rabbi Fuhrer. So we're sitting in this lounge and I said, I think that's Rabbi Fuhrer over there. Erez says, no, that's not him. I was like, okay. And then literally like a minute later, he goes, that's him. That's Rabbi Fuhrer. I go, really? He goes, I go, yeah. So we go up to the guy and we're like, Rabbi Fuhrer, I'm Dr. Langer, it's Dr. Nossek. He goes, I'm not Rabbi Fuhrer. And we both started laughing our asses off. We're just such idiots. It was the guy, you know,
that was so funny.
But I miss working with you, and when he told me where he was going, was one of the saddest and proudest days of my life in many ways. I feel like you are what's great about our business, and you know we're defined by the people that we work with ultimately and who we impact. And you know I remember that day very well, and I'm so excited for you and what you've accomplished and what I'm seeing you do. It's really tremendous. It's not easy to be on both sides of this. I think Jason's taken a role here that you know where he's focused and open. We have a great relationship with our interventional colleagues, and so you know I think to do what you're doing is really challenging and requires not only hard work but a great team, which you have there. You couldn't do it if you didn't have particularly interventional colleagues. It's just impossible. And you know it's sometimes hard to get them the surgical side for a variety of reasons, but you know ultimately I think you're in a great place. We're really proud of you. You carry the Lenox torch somewhere inside you. And I look behind you in the New York City, that beautiful office you're in. That must be Bellevue Hospital you're sitting in. But we're really proud of you, and congratulations on all your accomplishments. I'm glad you're staying here for the foreseeable future.
Thank you so much for having me and for being here, and thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Erez, talk soon.
Take care.
I have a case to run by. You're off.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.